For 2 long years, the quiet town of Riverstone lived with a strange fear, a fear that came after midnight. It always began the same way, a soft, slow knock on someone's front door. Not loud, not angry, just gentle, almost like someone was begging to be heard. But when the person opened the door, no one was there. People tried to explain it. Some said it was the wind. Some said it was children playing tricks. But deep inside, everyone knew the truth. The knock was real. Old Mrs. Turner was the first to report it. She said she heard a tired voice outside her door saying, "Please," and then a strange crying sound. When she opened the door, she found nothing except cold air and silent darkness. After that night, she never slept peacefully again. Soon, more houses reported the same thing. A knock, a soft cry, a shadow that moved too fast to see. The town slowly changed. People locked their doors earlier. They turned on extra lights. Even dogs refused to go near the door after sunset. Parents told their children not to stand near the windows at night. Everyone waited for the next knock, even when they pretended not to care. But nobody ever saw who was knocking. Cameras showed nothing but a blur. Footprints vanished before sunrise. And though the sound was gentle, it always came with a feeling, a heavy feeling of sadness. Like someone outside was desperate, lonely, and almost broken. One person who never experienced the knock was Ethan Ward, a quiet man who lived alone at the edge of town. Ethan was known for keeping to himself. He worked, came home, cooked simple food, and spent evenings reading old books. He wasn't afraid of anything, but he didn't invite trouble either. For 2 years, Ethan heard stories. But his house stayed silent. Until one cold night in early winter. Ethan sat on his sofa, reading a book when he heard a sound, soft but clear. Knock. Knock, knock. He froze. He wasn't expecting anyone. Nobody visited him. He slowly lifted his head and listened again. Knock, knock. This time, it was even softer, almost weak. A chill went through him. He stood up carefully and walked to the door. His heartbeat felt louder than the knocks. He didn't switch on the porch light. Somehow, he felt that the light might scare away whoever or whatever was outside. He placed his hand on the doorknob and paused. Then he heard it. Sound that changed everything. Not a growl. Not a whisper. Not a human voice. It was the soft, trembling cry of a baby. Ethan stepped back in shock. Why would a baby be outside at midnight? He pressed his ear to the door. The cry came again. Weak, shaking, almost running out of strength. Ethan unlocked the door slowly, carefully pulling it open only a little, just enough to look outside. Cold wind entered the house, making the candles shake. At first, he saw nothing, just darkness. Then, a movement. A small shape stepped forward from the shadows. Ethan's breath stopped. Woman stood there, or something like a woman. Her skin carried a faint silver glow under the moonlight. Her eyes were large and filled with fear, shining with a soft blue color. She was thin, exhausted, shaking as if she had traveled very far. In her arms, wrapped in torn cloth, was a tiny baby whose skin glowed even more softly than hers. The woman tried to speak. Her lips moved, but no sound came out at first. Her throat looked dry, damaged, tired. Finally she whispered, "Help." "Baby." She didn't step closer. She didn't attack. Instead, she held the child tighter, as if protecting it from the cold and the world itself. Ethan didn't know what to do. His mind raced with thoughts, fear, confusion, disbelief. But something inside him, something deep and human, told him to stay calm. The woman looked like she had not eaten in days. Her clothes were worn, her body weak. The baby's glow was fading, as if its life was slowly slipping away. Ethan took one slow step forward. The woman stepped back immediately, terrified, as if she expected him to hurt her. Her eyes widened with panic. She held the baby so close it almost disappeared inside her arms. Ethan raised both hands gently in the air, showing he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." The woman blinked, confused by his calmness. No human had spoken to her kindly in 2 years. Every door she knocked on opened, and then slammed shut once someone saw her shadow or heard her voice. She was treated like a monster. But Ethan didn't look at her with fear. He looked at her with concern. The baby cried again. This time weaker than before. Ethan felt his heart squeeze painfully at the sound. He knew one thing. If he closed the door tonight, if he walked away like everyone else, this baby might not survive until morning. The woman's eyes filled with tears. She whispered again, voice cracking, "Please." And for the first time in 2 years, she did not turn away and disappear. She stayed, waiting, hoping, begging for a human who would finally open the door completely. Ethan took a deep breath. Then, with a steady voice, he said, "Come in." And as she stepped forward, the wind behind her shifted, almost as if something unseen was watching from the darkness, waiting for her next move. The mysterious knock had finally found its answer. Asterisk. The moment Ethan stepped aside and allowed the glowing stranger to enter, the cold night air rushed in behind her. She moved slowly, almost like each step hurt. Her arms tightened around the baby as if she feared he might take it away. Ethan closed the door softly, trying not to make any sudden sounds. Inside the warm light of the living room, her true condition became clear. Her skin, silver under the moonlight, was now pale and dull, almost cracking at the edges. Her breathing was heavy, uneven. Dust clung to her clothes. And the baby barely moved at all. Ethan pointed toward the sofa gently. "You can sit here. It's safe." She hesitated, her eyes scanning every corner of the room like a hunted creature. Only when she felt no threat did she lower herself onto the sofa. The baby whimpered softly, a weak, trembling sound. Ethan knelt down a few feet away, close enough to show he cared, but far enough to show respect. "Can you understand me?" he asked softly. She nodded, tired but aware. "What happened to you? Who are you running from?" The woman bowed her head, trying to form words. She touched her throat, showing that speaking was painful. Instead, she raised her hand and traced glowing lines in the air, shapes, symbols, quick drawings of memories. Ethan watched, unsure at first, until the shapes became clear. A planet. A group of tall figures. A baby separated from its mother. A mark crossed violently. Fire. Escape. Ethan understood only part of it. But one thing was certain. She had been running for a long time. She pointed at herself, then slowly spoke one broken word, "Mother." Then she pointed at the baby and added another word, voice trembling, "Wanted." "Destroy." Ethan's eyes widened. "They want to harm the baby?" She nodded, tears forming in her glowing eyes. The baby let out a small cry, and the woman rocked it gently. Ethan noticed something unusual. Every time the baby cried, a faint wave of blue light shimmered through the room, almost like the air itself reacted. "What's wrong with the baby?" he asked. She shook her head, not to say nothing was wrong, but to show she didn't know the right human word. She placed her hand on the baby's chest, and a small glow pulsed in rhythm with its heartbeat. Then she pointed to her head, then the baby's head, then made a shaking motion with her hand as if showing something spreading. Ethan understood. "The baby is different?" She nodded again. "Is that why they're hunting you?" The mother lowered her eyes. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the blanket around her child. Ethan could see she was fighting not to cry. He stood up slowly and walked to the kitchen. She stiffened instantly, ready to run. Ethan raised his hand to calm her. "It's okay. I'm only getting water." He returned with a glass and placed it near her. She sniffed it, unsure, then took a small sip. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. He brought a small towel and placed it on the table for her to clean the baby. She accepted it with a nod that carried more gratitude than words ever could. For a moment, the room's soft warm light, a tired mother, a worried human. But peace did not last long. A sudden flash of blue light flickered outside the window, sharp, quick. Almost like a scanner, the woman froze. Her eyes widened with fear. Ethan stepped toward the window, careful not to reveal himself. Outside he saw nothing at first. Then, a dark shape moved between the trees. Not human. Too tall. Too smooth. Moving with silent steps, the mother clutched the baby tightly and whispered a single urgent word. Hunters. Ethan felt a wave of dread run through him. They followed you here? The woman nodded, her hands shaking violently. How long? He asked. How long have you been knocking on doors? She held up 2 fingers. 2 months? Ethan guessed. She shook her head. Then she pointed at the calendar on the wall. 2 years. Ethan stepped back, shocked. 2 years of wandering? 2 years of hiding in darkness? 2 years of searching for someone who would not scream or attack. The thought made his heart heavy. A soft beeping sound came from outside, a robotic scanning hum growing closer. The mother looked at him with terrified eyes, as if asking one silent question. Will you still help me now that danger is here? Ethan didn't look away. He didn't run. He didn't tell her to leave. Instead, he walked to the window, closed the curtains fully, and whispered, I'm not letting anyone take your baby. Her breath caught. For the first time, she looked at him with something deeper than fear-hope. But outside, in the darkness, a glowing red sensor paused right outside Ethan's house, as if it had finally found something worth hunting. The red sensor light outside Ethan's house stopped moving. It hovered silently, scanning the walls, windows, and the very air around the home. Inside, the alien mother held her baby close, her entire body shaking. The glow on her skin dimmed, shrinking like a dying fire. Ethan moved slowly, careful not to make noise. He whispered, Stay low. Stay behind the sofa. She obeyed, crouching with the baby wrapped tightly in her arms. Then came a sound Ethan had never heard before, a sharp metallic click, followed by a soft mechanical hum, like something powering up. Ethan peeked through the tiny gap between the curtains. His breath caught in his throat. A tall, armored figure stood outside, at least 7 feet tall, with smooth dark plating instead of clothing. Its head had no mouth, no eyes, only a long narrow visor glowing red like a burning line. Strange symbols pulsed across its chest, shifting like living metal. A small machine floated beside it, scanning the house. Ethan whispered, They're here. The mother squeezed her baby tighter. The infant let out a tiny whimper. The floating scanner instantly reacted. It turned toward the window toward the sound. Ethan jumped back and pressed his back against the wall, his heart pounding so loudly he feared it could be heard outside. For a moment, the red light swept across the window. Then it stopped, as if listening. Suddenly, knock, knock. Knock. Ethan nearly dropped to the floor. It wasn't gentle like before. This knock was cold, controlled, and heavy, like metal hitting wood. The mother's shoulders tensed. She whispered one desperate word, No. Ethan moved toward the door quietly, but not to open it. He simply had to stand there, pretending he was not home. Pretending the house was empty. Pretending nothing unusual existed inside these walls. The knocking continued. Knock, knock. Each hit echoed through the house like a warning. Ethan stood still, barely breathing. Minutes passed. Silence returned. He dared to hope they might leave, but hope lasted only seconds. A deep, metal-filled voice spoke from the other side. We detect irregular energy. We require entry. Ethan's throat tightened. He whispered back through the door, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Sorry. I'm asleep. Please come later." The house fell silent again. The mother stared at Ethan, terrified. She knew the hunters didn't understand kindness. They didn't understand personal space. They didn't knock because they respected humans. They knocked to test reactions. Outside, metal footsteps moved slowly, circling the porch. Then came another sound, the click of a device activating. A beam of red light scanned the edge of Ethan's door, tracing every line of the frame. Ethan's hands clenched. If they break in, he thought, how do I protect her? The baby? Myself? The baby suddenly made a soft crying noise. A single, tiny cry. Ethan's heart stopped. The alien mother covered the child's mouth gently, but the sound had already traveled. The sensor drone outside beeped twice, sharp and alert. The armored figure turned, its head toward the sound dot. It had detected them. Ethan's mind raced. He had no weapon, no plan, nothing but fear and instinct. He whispered to the mother, "Follow me," quietly. They crawled across the living room to the hallway. Ethan opened a closet door and motioned for her to hide inside. She hesitated, not wanting to leave him outside alone. He whispered, "Please. Trust me." She nodded weakly and stepped inside with the baby. Ethan gently closed the door, leaving only a tiny crack for air. Then a loud bang shook the entire house. The armored hunter was trying to force the door open. Wood cracked. Hinges groaned. Ethan backed up slowly, his heartbeat racing like thunder. A second bang. A deeper crack. The door wouldn't last long. Thinking quickly, Ethan grabbed a heavy lamp and held it tight, though he knew it wouldn't stop a creature like that. But he refused to stand there empty-handed. The third hit shattered the lock. The door swung open halfway before getting stuck on the broken wood. A long metallic hand reached inside, forcing the door slowly wider. Ethan stepped back, ready to swing if he had to. But then, something unexpected happened. A bright blue flash burst from the closet. A pulse of gentle energy rushed across the room like a wave. The armored hunter stumbled back, disoriented. The drone blinked wildly, its sensors glitching. Inside the closet. The baby glowed softly, eyes closed, breathing weakly. Its energy had reacted to danger. The mother opened the door of the closet, terrified but determined. She looked at Ethan with trembling eyes. "Run," she whispered. "Please, run." But Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm not leaving you." Outside, the hunter steadied itself. The red visor brightened, even angrier now. It knew the baby was inside. It knew its target was here. It raised its arm, preparing to break into the house fully. But Ethan stepped forward, placing himself between the monster and the terrified mother behind him. For the first time in 2 years, someone was ready to stand his ground for her. The armored hunter pushed against the cracked door with cold patience, as if it knew nothing inside the house could escape its reach. But Ethan stood in front of the alien mother, gripping the lamp tightly, even though he knew it was useless. His heart pounded, but his resolve was strong. Behind him, the mother whispered something in her own language, soft, scared, but filled with warning. The baby glowed again for a moment, its tiny chest rising and falling weakly. The glow was fading each time, like a candle losing its flame. The hunter forced the door open another inch. The wood splintered loudly. Ethan whispered without turning around, "Listen. If I tell you to run, run. Don't wait for me." The mother reached out with a trembling hand and touched his arm. Her touch was warm, almost electric. She shook her head slowly. "No. Not leave," she whispered. Her voice cracked, like someone who had spent years speaking only to the wind. Her eyes, shining faint blue, looked at Ethan, not with fear this time, but with trust. Raw, fragile trust. Ethan swallowed hard. Another violent push shook the door. The hunter was getting closer. Suddenly, a loud siren echoed in the distance, one of the town's emergency alarms. Someone must have seen the strange shadow outside Ethan's home and reported it. Red lights flashing from far away reached the hunter's sensors. For the first time, the creature paused. It stepped back a little, scanning the direction of the incoming alarm. Humans were gathering. Police cars were getting closer. More lights were lighting up the streets. The hunter's mission required silence, stealth. No witnesses. It slowly retreated from the door, its drone following it like a loyal pet. After a few seconds, both disappeared into the darkness, but Ethan didn't move. He waited, breathing quietly, unsure if it was a trick. Only when the mother touched his shoulder and whispered, "Gone," did he finally let out a shaky breath. His legs gave up, and he sank onto the floor, exhausted. The mother knelt beside him. She gently placed her hand near his, not touching it first, just close enough to show gratitude. Ethan looked at her and saw tears forming in her eyes. Not from fear now, but relief. "You saved us," she whispered. Ethan shook his head. "No, I just did what any decent person would do." She stared at him for a long moment, as if trying to understand his meaning. Finally, she spoke in broken English. "Other humans. Not same." Her voice carried pain. 2 years of rejection, doors slammed, and people screaming at the sight of her. Ethan felt a heaviness in his chest. "You were scared," he said softly. "Anybody would be." She nodded, then gently rocked her baby to calm it. But the child's glow had dimmed, and the breathing sounded weaker. Ethan leaned closer. "What's happening to the baby?" The mother hesitated. Then she took Ethan's hand gently and placed it near the baby's heart. Ethan felt a soft, warm pulse, like a small spark of life trying to hold on. But it was fading. The mother whispered, "Energy. Low, baby. Connect to emotion. When safe, stronger. When fear, weaker." Ethan froze. "So the baby senses emotions?" She nodded. "Baby feel world. Feel hearts. Take energy from kindness. Weaken from fear." Ethan looked at the child with new understanding. For 2 years, surrounded only by fear and rejection, the baby's strength must have faded constantly. But tonight, when Ethan opened the door, when Ethan protected them, when he showed kindness, the baby glowed brighter. He hadn't just protected them. He had given the baby something it had been starving for: human empathy. The mother noticed his realization. She touched her chest gently, then pointed at Ethan. "You. Help baby live." Ethan felt something warm spread inside his chest. A bond unexpected, powerful had formed between him and this fragile little family. But danger had not passed. The mother suddenly looked toward the window again. "Hunters. Return. More." Ethan stood up. "Then we need a plan." She nodded and slowly reached into her clothing. She pulled out a small metallic object shaped like a crystal, glowing faint blue. She placed it in Ethan's hand. "This. Call help, but broken. Need fix." Ethan studied it. He didn't understand alien technology, but he knew someone in town who might. A retired engineer, old, quiet, trustworthy. He looked back at the mother. "If this can call help, I'll fix it. I'll save your child." The mother stared at him as if seeing something rare, something she didn't know existed in humans. A heart that cared for someone who wasn't even from his world. Outside, the night grew darker. Inside, their bond grew stronger. But in the shadows beyond Ethan's house, more red lights blinked awake. The hunters were not done searching. They were preparing to return with greater force. The moment Ethan agreed to fix the broken crystal device, the alien mother held her baby closer, as if hope had finally returned to her after 2 years of fear. But hope alone could not fight the danger outside. The hunters were still somewhere in the darkness, watching, scanning, learning. "We can't stay here," Ethan whispered. "They'll come back with more." The mother nodded, her glowing eyes filled with worry. The baby's breathing was slow, each breath weaker than the last. The alien mother touched Ethan's arm gently, urging him to hurry. "Baby needs safe place," she said in broken English. Ethan walked to his kitchen and grabbed a small backpack. Inside, he placed water, bread, a flashlight, and a blanket. He didn't know how long they'd be running, but he knew they had to leave now before the hunters surrounded the house. He turned to the mother. "Can you walk?" She nodded, but her legs trembled when she tried to stand. Her journey across Earth had drained all her strength. Ethan quickly stepped forward and supported her, careful not to hurt the baby. She whispered a quiet, "Thank you," her voice filled with exhaustion. They moved to the back door, away from where the hunter had knocked earlier. Ethan slowly opened it. The backyard stretched out into darkness, leading into the thick forest behind his property. The cold wind brushed against their faces. Ethan stepped out first, scanning the shadows. No red lights. No strange footsteps. No humming machines. "Let's go," he whispered. The mother followed, holding her baby close, every step silent and cautious. Ethan kept the broken crystal device in his pocket, hoping he could fix it once they reached safety. For a few minutes, everything seemed calm. Only the sound of leaves rustling beneath their feet broke the night's silence. The forest felt deep, safe, hidden. But safety never lasts long. A sudden mechanical buzz shot through the air. Ethan stopped immediately. The mother froze. The baby whimpered, sensing danger. A drone, smaller than the one before, slid silently through the trees above them. Its red scanner blinked like a sharp, angry eye searching for prey. Ethan grabbed the mother's arm and whispered, "Don't move. Don't breathe." The drone hovered for a moment. Scanning the ground, Ethan's heart pounded so hard he felt it, shaking his entire body. The baby let out a tiny cry. The drone immediately turned toward the sound. Its light brightening. "Run," Ethan whispered urgently. The mother didn't understand the word, but she understood his fear. They rushed into the forest. The drone followed, its alarm echoing through the trees. Within seconds, 2 more drones joined it. Red lights flashed across branches and rocks, searching wildly. The mother stumbled, her legs weak. Ethan grabbed her before she fell, but the baby slipped slightly in her arms. Releasing a faint blue glow dot, the drones reacted instantly. "Faster!" Ethan shouted. They pushed deeper into the woods, their breaths breaking into fast gasps. Ethan could hear metal footsteps far behind. The hunters were coming too. Finally, through the thick trees, Ethan saw an old wooden cabin. He had visited it only once years ago. It was abandoned, falling apart, but it was shelter. "This way!" He yelled. They reached the cabin just as the drones began firing small bursts of red energy that burned leaves and branches. Ethan threw open the cabin door, pulled the alien mother inside, and shut it behind them. The entire cabin shook as the drones crashed into the roof and walls. Ethan held the door with all his strength while the mother backed into a corner, clutching her baby protectively. The baby's glow flickered weakly. The alien mother whispered desperately, "Baby, no more energy." Ethan felt something heavy in his chest. The baby was running out of strength. They needed safety. They needed help. They needed time. They didn't have. The hunter's footsteps grew louder outside, slow, heavy, determined. Then came a metallic voice. "Surrender the child. Resistance will result in termination." Ethan's grip on the door tightened. "No," he whispered fiercely. "You're not taking them." He turned to the mother and shouted, "Hide behind the old cabinet." "Now," she hurried, struggling but determined. The cabin shook again as the hunters tried to break in. Dust fell from the ceiling. The baby cried weakly, almost silent now. The mother looked at Ethan, her eyes full of fear and guilt. "Ethan, you go, please. Safe yourself." He shook his head, angry that she even suggested it. "I'm not leaving either of you." Outside, the hunters activated their cutting tools. Sparks flew as they sliced through the wooden wall like it was paper. They were seconds away from entering. Ethan looked around, desperately for anything a weapon. A plan, a miracle. But there was nothing. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the cracked crystal device. Its faint blue glow flickered. "If this thing can call help," he whispered, "then do it now. Please." He pressed on the crystal. Nothing happened, but as he pressed again, the baby's tiny hand reached out, touching the crystal. A bright blue pulse burst through the cabin. The hunters outside staggered. Drones fell from the sky, but the cabin roof cracked from the shockwave. The escape plan had failed, and now everything was collapsing around them. Asterisk. The blue pulse that exploded from the cracked crystal shook the entire cabin like a small earthquake. Dust rained from the ceiling. Wooden beams groaned under the shock. Ethan shielded the alien mother and baby with his own body as glowing waves rippled across the walls. Outside, the hunters stumbled backward, their red visors flickering wildly. The drones crashed into trees, their scanners glitching like broken lights. For the first time, the hunters looked confused, almost afraid. Inside the cabin, the baby lay in the mother's arms, its small hand still resting on the cracked crystal. A soft blue glow spread across the baby's skin, brighter than before. The faint energy pulsed in steady rhythm, like a heart waking up after a long sleep. The mother stared at her child with wide eyes. "Baby, power. Return," she whispered. Ethan watched, speechless. The baby wasn't just glowing, it was rising slightly, as if weightless. Tiny waves of blue light spread across the air from its chest. His fear changed into awe. "What's happening?" Ethan asked. The mother breathed shakily. "Baby, feel danger." "Baby, protect, protect." Ethan repeated. "Protect how?" She placed her hand over her heart. "Baby, feel emotion. Take fear. Change to power." Ethan looked at the baby again. Its soft light was warm, not burning or harmful. It felt like standing near a calm fire after a storm. But outside, the hunters recovered quickly. One of them gave a metallic growl, then rammed its metal arm into the cabin wall. The wood splintered. A long crack spread across the wall like a spider web. They were rebuilding their strength, and fast. Ethan's hope began to fall. "They're coming again." The mother held the baby close and whispered something in her own language. The baby responded with a tiny glow. Then it turned its head slightly toward the broken wall, as if listening to the fear outside. A second pulse exploded, smaller but sharper. This time, it wasn't a wide wave. It was targeted. The pulse shot through the cracked wall, hitting the hunter head-on. The creature staggered, dropping to one knee. Its visor flickered from red to white, confused and disoriented. The mother gasped. "Baby, send emotion. Baby, show them fear." Ethan understood. The baby didn't attack physically. It attacked with pure emotion, fear, panic, confusion mirroring the feelings around it. But the effort drained the child. The baby's glow faded again. Weaker than before. The mother's face tightened with panic. "No, no, baby, too small. Too weak." Ethan knelt beside her. "Is the baby okay?" She nodded slowly. "Baby live, but need emotion of safety. Need calm. Need love." Ethan swallowed hard. Love? Calm? How could they give that while hunters were breaking the cabin apart? A loud crash answered him as a giant metal arm smashed through the wall. The hunters had regained their focus. Their red visors burned brighter than before. Ethan grabbed the mother's hand. "We need to move, now." The mother tried to stand, but she winced. Her leg had been injured earlier when she fell in the forest. She could barely put weight on it. Ethan didn't hesitate. He lifted her carefully, supporting her with one arm while she held the baby against her chest. The cabin shook again as another blow hit the outside wall. They had seconds left. Ethan looked around and saw a trapdoor under an old rug. He quickly pulled it open, revealing a narrow space leading under the cabin floor. "This way," he whispered urgently. He helped the mother climb down into the dark space, then followed. Pulling the trapdoor closed above them, the hunters broke into the cabin at that exact moment. Heavy footsteps shook the floorboards above their heads. The hunters moved slowly, searching. Their sensors scanned for heat, movement, energy, anything. The baby whimpered softly. The mother covered its mouth gently, tears forming in her eyes. "Please, please, quiet, little one." Ethan held his breath. One of the hunters walked directly above them. The floor creaked under its weight. Ethan felt dust fall onto his head. The hunter's scanner hummed dangerously close. Then something unexpected happened. The baby's glow returned, not bright, but warm, soft, calming. It spread across the dark space gently, like moonlight touching water. Ethan felt his heartbeat slow. His fear faded. His mind cleared. The mother sighed in relief, her shaking stopping. The baby was creating calm, creating safety, because it needed them to feel it. Up above, the hunters hesitated. Their scanners flickered, confused again. They sensed nothing because the baby was masking the emotional energy inside the cabin. Not with fear this time, but with peace. For the first time, the hunters stepped back. They muttered in their mechanical language. Then, one by one, they left the cabin. Ethan waited in silence until their footsteps disappeared, completely into the forest. Only then did he breathe again. The mother looked at Ethan with tears in her glowing eyes. "Baby, save us," she whispered. "But baby's still dying. Need help soon." Ethan understood. This moment of calm was only temporary. The hunters would return. And next time, they would not be fooled. Asterisk under the cabin floor. The air felt thick and heavy. Ethan, the alien mother, and the child were alive, but only just. The baby's glow flickered softly, weaker with every passing minute. The calm emotion it had created was fading, replaced with quiet, rising fear. The mother looked at Ethan with trembling eyes. "Baby, no energy soon. Need help from sky." Ethan removed the cracked crystal device from his pocket. It was dim, almost dead, its surface cracked like broken glass. "This is the only thing that can call your people?" She nodded. "Crystal sends signal far, very far, but broken." Ethan studied it again, running his fingers over the glowing cracks. He wasn't an engineer. He wasn't a scientist. He was just an ordinary man who lived a quiet life. Yet somehow he was the only person in the entire world who stood between this mother, her dying child, and a group of unstoppable hunters. He took a deep breath. "Then we fix it, now, before they come back." He helped the mother climb out of the trapdoor, carrying the baby carefully. The cabin above them was destroyed, walls broken, furniture crushed, the roof half collapsed. But the night outside was calm again. The hunters gone for the moment. Ethan gathered whatever he could: wires, batteries, small tools. He laid the crystal on a piece of wood and worked slowly, carefully, guided only by hope. The mother watched him, her eyes full of trust and fear mixed together. Minutes felt like hours. Then, a spark of blue light flickered across the crystal. Ethan's heart jumped. "It's reacting," he whispered. He gently pressed the center of the crystal. A soft glow returned. "Faint but alive. It working?" The mother asked, her voice shaking. "Maybe," Ethan said. "But I think it needs one more thing." "Energy." The mother's eyes widened. "Baby give energy, but weak." Ethan looked down at the tiny child. The baby's glow was fading, and with every flicker, its breathing slowed. "No," Ethan said firmly. The baby has given enough. He placed his own hand over the crystal. Warmth spread through his palm, energy, emotion, everything he felt. If the baby's power was tied to emotion, maybe human emotion could help too. He closed his eyes and focused. He thought about the moment he first opened the door. He thought about how he protected them. He thought about the trust the mother gave him. He thought about the baby's fragile, glowing hands. He allowed every feeling, fear, courage, kindness, hope to sink into the crystal. The crystal responded. It glowed brighter, then brighter, then extremely bright. The mother gasped. Signal, send. Help coming. A beam of blue light shot into the sky, silent, invisible to human eyes, but powerful enough to cross galaxies. For a moment, they all felt hope, but hope lasted only seconds. From deep in the forest, red lights ignited. A roar of metal echoed through the trees. The hunters were returning, this time with full force. Ethan grabbed the mother's hand. We need to keep moving. They ran through the forest, branches cutting their skin, the mother limping from her injury. The baby cried weakly, sensing the danger. Behind them, the forest glowed red as the hunters scanned for life. Ethan didn't stop until they reached an open field, a place with no hiding spots, but with a clear view of the sky. The mother fell to her knees, exhausted. Ethan, leave us. Save yourself. No, he said. I'm not leaving you. I made a promise. The hunters emerged from the trees, moving in a formation like shadows of death. Their red visors locked onto the mother and baby. Their drones circled above like vultures. The mother held her child tight and whispered with tears, if we die, baby never know peace. Ethan stepped in front of them. His voice was steady. You want the baby? You'll have to go through me. It was madness, one human against metal giants. But Ethan stood tall, his fear replaced with something stronger. The baby sensed his courage and glowed faintly again. The hunters raised their weapons, but before they could fire, the sky lit up with a brilliant blue beam. A ship appeared above them, silent and smooth, descending like a guardian from another world. Its underside opened, releasing a soft wave of protective energy that pushed the hunters backward. The mother gasped. My people! They come! The peaceful aliens landed. They lifted the mother and baby gently into their arms. One of them placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. You protected them, the alien said in calm, clear English. You showed what humans truly are. Ethan watched as the mother reached out toward him. Ethan, thank you. You open door. You save our lives. He smiled softly. I only did what any heart should do. The ship lifted into the sky with the mother and child safe inside. Disappearing into the stars, the hunters fled into the forest. Defeated. Ethan stood alone in the quiet field, the night calm at last. Years later, on another peaceful night, a second ship appeared. A young glowing child stepped out, smiling brightly. Ethan, my mother said you are our family. And with that, two worlds were forever changed by one man who chose compassion over fear.